Okay, welcome back to the New Hampshire Business Show. My name is Chris, and today we are here with Tammy Downey and Out of the Box the travel?
Out of the Box Tours.
Out of the Box Tours, not travel agents.
No.
Okay, stay tuned.
Out of the Box Tours. Folks come to me and say that they want to do something fun and unusual, whether it be in New Hampshire or New England or Australia. It doesn't matter. They want to go and have some fun with companies or friends or just by themselves. It doesn't matter. I'm not really a travel agent though. It's more of a tour company. So I would put together, a travel agent will get you there and, give you tickets to whatever. I get you there and get you in on the inside. So if you are a Broadway person, I know people on Broadway. I have friends on Broadway, so I can get you behind the scenes. I can get you behind the velvet ropes, so to speak, the little bit of a VIP treatment. And depending on the tour, I'll go with you and kind of show you around. And it's all good. It's all fun.
That's pretty cool. What type of tours generally do you do? I mean, is it kind of New Hampshire based, or you go everywhere?
I do go everywhere. I am trying to bring more tourism to southern New Hampshire, and New Hampshire in general. But I think that southern New Hampshire has a lot to offer, and there's so much to offer, and yet people think of Concord on north.
Yeah.
And so, and we have a lot here. I do ghost tours right here in Manchester. I have about a dozen of them planned for 2017, with more to come. And just the ghost tours alone are they're quite popular. And we do have a lot of history here in Manchester alone. But we do have a rich history all over southern New Hampshire, the Monadnock region, and other. Everywhere. It's wonderful. So I'm just trying to bring that more to southern New Hampshire, but I do go everywhere. So, everywhere.
Let's talk about that. Ghost tours.
Ghost tours.
That piqued my interest because that sounds fun.
It is
fun.
What is that? It is fun. So, I do ghost tours in several different locations. My biggest one happens to be in Manchester, and I think it's because it was a niche that didn't have a place in Manchester yet. They're in Portsmouth. They have them in Portsmouth. They have them in Boston and in Salem, Massachusetts. But there is a lot of ghostly history here in Manchester, and that nobody was doing that. So I said, hey, I know a little bit about this kind of thing. I am a tour director. I've done a little bit of the paranormal investigating. So let's bring the two loves together. and have a tour. So we start off at the Palace Theater, or across the street from the Palace Theater, and bring you down into the Mill Yard, and over to the Valley Cemetery, and then back around. So it's about a mile long walk. It's about an hour and a half, always at night. Unless somebody requests to have it during the day, we can do it during the day too. But it is a walking tour of Manchester.
Wow.
Yeah. My first one this year will be weather permitting, March 28th.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm glad there's that many ghosts in Manchester.
There are, I know, you'd be surprised. But, the basis of all good ghost stories is history. Mm-hmm. So you're going to learn something too.
Okay.
It isn't all about the ghosts, you have to have that foundation.
Oh, well, that's not fun. Give me history.
It is fun.
That's awesome. So we'll talk about other things. We have ghost tours. We've talked about Broadway a little bit. Mm-hmm. Is there any other things kind of inside New Hampshire or outside New Hampshire you kind of specialize in? Yeah,
I do. I do chocolate and wine tour of southern New Hampshire. Okay. So depending on the date and who's available will depend on where we go. But I try to go to 2 places of each. It's about a 4 or 5 hour tour. In that we take a van. And I'll take you around to the different fun places in and around New Hampshire. And it's local. It's not going to be, like Budweiser, which would be fabulous. I know it's not wine, but it's just an example. Yeah. We're gonna go to the local folks and bring some business to them, and keep it in southern New Hampshire. And then another one that I do, oh my goodness, I do so many. I do one that's a taste of New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go all over the place, and we'll hit different kinds of. It's a food tour, so we'll hit different companies, different restaurants and such, and have a meal. We'll start off with breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, after dinner drink. You know,
I like
or
drinks,
yeah, or I also do an around the world food tour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we'll go to Greece, we'll go to Italy, we'll go to India, Japan. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. Whatever it is that you want, and I know people in every single kind of business that you want. You know, if I don't know somebody, I know someone who knows somebody, so I can usually get in just about anywhere.
Oh, so you're a good person to know, kind of.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about you love the paranormal stuff, so it kind of drives that part of it. Let's talk a little bit more about what got you into travel to begin with. What led you to where you are?
Oh, well, for the better part of 20 years, I was in healthcare.
Okay.
And I worked at different places. I worked over in the Monadnock region at Monadnock Hospital as an admin, not like an RN or anything like that. And then I worked over at Elliott Hospital in administrative work and for a local doctor's office. And then my husband and I went on a trip to Yellowstone. And it was a bus tour. And there was about 50 of us on the bus. 25 couples, so about 50 people. And the tour director of that trip sat down with us one night to dinner. And all this time I was kind of looking for another job, but it was just the job.
Yeah.
And we were out to dinner, and he said, "So, Tammy, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm in healthcare, but I want to do what you do." And he's like, "Oh, you'd be fabulous." And so I get home, and I sent him an email. "No, really, I want to do what you do." So he hooked me up. There's a school in San Francisco that I attended. It's a 21-day program. It's called ITMI, International Tour Management Institute.
Okay.
And you attend there for 21 days, somewhere around there. And they teach you the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs of the touring industry. And then when you're all done, they'll give you a stack of information on different places that are hiring. There's a huge demand for tour directors, especially in the Northeast. Believe it or not, in the Boston area, it's huge. It's huge in the Boston area. So like you see those duck tours, and the Old Town Trolley tours, and even in Salem, Massachusetts, you see the tours there. They all did something along those lines. Went to that kind of schooling.
Wow, I didn't know that was that big of an industry.
Ooh, it's huge. Yeah, I didn't know either.
I guess I'm from the area, so I wouldn't realize that, but
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a good gig if you can get it. You know, you got to kind of have the time, and you got to kind of have the tenacity and the drive, because you're constantly looking for work. So I am an independent contractor, so I do work for other companies. They'll contact me and say, you know, like I'm working inauguration, and just different things that come up. You know, I'll be working those kinds of things. Yeah. But yeah, I also work for myself, so it's a little bit of both.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It is.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never met too many travel guides. I mean, I've been on some tours to Europe and stuff, but never had a good chance to sit down with one and find out how interesting they are.
That's the goal, actually, to go overseas, because they do hire folks to go, across the pond or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I actually, last season, I got a job offer to go to Egypt, but it was when Egypt was in kind of a turmoil. Yeah. And so I kind of said, I don't
maybe no.
Not now, maybe.
Maybe no time.
Yeah, but I haven't got a job offer like that one since.
Yeah. Then where's my trip to Afghanistan?
I know, really. I'll give you a tour.
You wanted to get out of the health industry, from what I gathered. Do something you enjoyed quite a bit more. What else is there? What drives you to run your own business? What drives you every day?
All right, so there's different kinds of tours. I mean, I don't know, did you grow up in New Hampshire?
Yes.
Okay, so you did the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C.?
I didn't.
You didn't, but you've heard of it.
Yes.
Like a lot of people have,
Yes.
Because I'm that person in Washington, D.C. that takes these kids all over the place. So it's wonderful down there. I guess growing up and being in the 8th grade, because I did go to Washington, D.C. in the 8th grade, I don't think I appreciated all that we have to offer here in this country and in Washington, D.C. as well. As, you don't appreciate it when you're a kid as much. I do see kids, I do student tours with not just 8th graders, like all ages, but in the springtime it seems like there's an awful lot of 8th graders going to Washington, D.C. And I get to be the one that takes them around and shows them, the Smithsonian and the Lincoln Memorial at night, so beautiful. And sometimes we'll do the Tri-City tour, where we'll start off in Boston and get to do Boston and New York City and Washington, D.C. So we'll hit the Broadway plays. Sometimes we go to the Philharmonic and go over to the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and we get to see things that are going on there. It's quite lovely. And in Boston, Blue Man Group.
Yep.
But yeah, everything, the basis of everything is history. Well, not everything, but most everything is the history.
History is important, and that's what makes a good tour, I guess, as you said.
And it's so rich here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tour directors that are from the Northeast are aging out. This is a really good profession for folks that are closer to retirement, I guess. Not that I'm close to retirement. I am far from it. But it seems like this profession has a lot of folks. It's either the younger sect that haven't started having kids yet. You don't see a whole lot of later 20-somethings into 30-somethings. You don't see a lot of folks that age. And once you get into their 40s and their kids have grown or are they're a little bit more self-sufficient, then that's when people are going back. And this is a good vocation for folks that it's not really there's no age discrimination in this field, because most everybody, I'm like one of the young ones, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah, or for women, the men seem to run the gamut of all ages, but to me it seems like a lot of them are either on the younger side or closer to retirement.
Yeah, closer to retirement. Closer to retirement,
yes. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun, though. And, once or twice a year, they'll have a symposium or a big conference where all the tour operators, they will attend, and they're looking for people to work. So you attend this conference and you literally go on about 15 job interviews at the conference and get a few jobs out of it. And especially if you have, if you live in the Northeast, you obviously know you have some knowledge of the Northeast. So fall foliage tours are really popular, and Maine coastal tours. I do a lighthouse and lobster tour. That one is really cool. Yeah. We'll go up to Portland and then see the Portland headlight, and then we'll go to Nubble and go on to this little lobster boat called the Finest Kind, and we'll go lobstering, and then we'll go and we'll eat it. And they'll even teach you how to eat it, because sometimes people, they don't know the,
Yeah.
so
The
you'll
ins and
learn
outs
all
of it.
that. Yeah.